Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have 22nd Century Group, Inc. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol XXII and is the pioneering nicotine harm reduction company in the tobacco industry, enabling smokers to take control of their nicotine consumption. Happy to welcome Chairman and CEO Larry Firestone. Welcome back to the conference today, Larry. We're really excited to hear your presentation and some updates.
Thanks, Anna. It's always great to be here with you. So I'll skip through the forward-looking statements. And as Anna mentioned, we're traded on the NASDAQ under XXII. We're a pure-play tobacco company with a unique portfolio of brands. And we're the true leader for 27 years of the tobacco harm reduction movement. This started back in 1998. And we're the only company that's fully aligned with the FDA's low nicotine mandate, which was issued in the most recent issue was in January of 2025. And we're poised for profitable growth and value creation with our house of brands. And we are the only company that offers a choice with nicotine consumption in a combustible cigarette. Let's talk about the tobacco market. It's a $1.1 trillion market in annual sales with $873 billion in annual cigarette sales worldwide, with 1.1 billion smokers. And unfortunately, 8 million smokers a year die due to smoking-related health conditions. That's 21,900 smokers that die daily from smoking conditions. In the United States, it's $109 billion in annual sales and $83 billion in annual cigarette sales, with 28.8 million smokers, and 480,000 is our attrition rate of death due to smoking and health-related conditions in the U.S. That's 1,315 smokers per day, and it's actually, if you do the math, it's a smoker a minute. So on average, we've been on this call for 2 minutes. We've already lost 2 people. And ironically, the U.S. tobacco industry is expected to grow to $180 billion by 2030. That's an 8.15% CAGR. And nicotine addiction is something the tobacco industry does not want to talk about. And according to the University of California, San Francisco, nicotine has been proven to be as addictive as cocaine and heroin, and even more addictive. So people who develop a nicotine addiction really can't quit. It's so difficult to quit on your own. In fact, 70% of the smokers who really report that they want to quit, but many can't and don't until they develop a serious health condition like heart disease, cancer, stroke, or any other thing. So in the U.S., just remember the size of the U.S. market, the smoking market is about $110 billion in sales annually. In 2018, more than $600 billion was spent on smoking-related illness and chronic health conditions from smoking. And I'm sure that in 2025, that number is quite a bit bigger. So nicotine harm reductions and warnings have been in our existence in the United States since the early 1950s. So that's 75 years of warning us, and it's not getting through. And now we've got, due to the ease of access to nicotine and with even synthetic nicotine, we've created a new problem, and that's nicotine poisoning in children and youth. And so what this is children emulating their parents or their other adults who are using these products, and they put it in their mouth and their little bodies can't handle that level of nicotine. And they end up in the hospital, they get rushed to the hospital, and they go into the poison ward. So the newest efforts and claims from Big Tobacco on trying to migrate people from smoking into other devices and other nicotine delivery systems to reduce the exposure to harmful tobacco-specific nitrosamines, or TSNAs, with NNN and NNK. That's a little scientific, but we'll come back to that. Those being the most harmful, they think they've done a good job for society, and the answer is they haven't. And the tobacco industry is just trying to keep their consumers addicted to their products while they figure out how to migrate them and talk about the TSNAs. The good news is, for us, the tobacco harm reduction movement is now alive and well. And we are the leader. We've been the leader. I could say we started this back in 1998 as the mission of the company of 22nd Century. And the market is now shaping into 4 lanes. Lane 1 is pouches and moist snuff. That's a nicotine delivery system, pure and simple. And then we've got heat not burn and heated tobacco products in lane 2. Lane 3 is low nicotine or VLN products, and that's the lane that we play in. And lane 4 is the standard combustible cigarettes. And that's where people are going to continue to smoke. They can't quit, and they don't want to change to a different device. Now, the first 3 lanes are sort of coined as being part of the tobacco harm reduction movement. But it's clear that VLN products in all forms will be directly competing with heat not burn and heated tobacco products for those smokers who want to convert out of standard combustibles. And then when the FDA low nicotine standard is enacted, 22nd Century's VLN products will be competing for all smokers in lane 4 with their full strength cigarettes when they become unavailable. So we see this as a real opportunity to expand our partner VLN and our VLN inside concept and expand into other brands as well, and even engage a license model for low nicotine tobacco and the VLN brand. And just to point out some numbers, if 70% of the smokers want to quit, reducing their dependence on nicotine is the key. And that would be over 20 million smokers. The FDA mandate for 75 years, as I mentioned, we've been seeing warnings caused, it's on the pack, it's on the windows, it's on everywhere you buy cigarettes. They've stopped cigarette advertising. So for 75 years, the government's been telling us this is a bad thing. And there's been billions and countless billions in pharmaceuticals, messaging, smoking cessation programs, rehab, you name it, around trying to get people to move off of nicotine. And the definition of addiction is not having control over doing, taking, or using something to the point where it can be harmful to you. And nicotine does not get a pass card in this category. It's a full addiction vehicle. And so this is the control that we're on a mission to give back to the smoker. And we'll say, even though others are saying they haven't, I'll say the FDA has gotten it right. With the FDA proposed rule, which the comment period closes on September 15, the FDA is mandating that 0.7 milligrams per gram of nicotine content per cigarette, which falls right in the center of our 95% less nicotine cigarette. And our VLN products, actually the FDA references them in their mandate. So not only can we say this is possible, but it's probable that we can have a world without this level of nicotine addiction. And so with the future being in mind, that's a very exciting opportunity for us. And now that we've engaged with the partner VLN brands, where it's not just the 22nd Century brand, but our early adopters are moving into it, we see that this concept can move across other brands in the market as well. And our technology made this mandate possible. Our extensive patent portfolio in low nicotine genetics firmly cements us as the leader in low nicotine tobacco. Technology development since 1998 with NCSU, attacking the problem at the root with no pun intended, the tobacco leaf. Our IP protected process for producing non-GMO low nicotine tobacco and we're also investigating the potential link between non-GMO low nicotine tobacco and substantially lower levels of the harmful tobacco-related nitrosamines that I mentioned before, the TSNAs, with the most harmful known as NNN and NNK, which are the major carcinogens in a cigarette. So we continue to invest in next generation technology that'll help us further enhance our leadership in the tobacco harm reduction movement. And we've got ongoing plant genetics into additional tobacco strains and enhanced disease resistance to open up new products for 22nd century. And so our continued research is also very focused on the TSNAs in the tobacco leaf. And that's a very important part of the tobacco harm reduction movement. And we have scientific proof. In 2024, there was an independent research study using our 95% less nicotine spectrum research cigarette, which is our VLN cigarette, in over 450 subjects. 40% of them changed their smoking habit dramatically and reduced their consumption of cigarettes per day over only a 12-week period. So when I extrapolate that over the 28.8 million smokers in the US smoking population, that would mean 11.5 million smokers could potentially dramatically change their smoking habit and take control of their dependence on nicotine and their addiction in roughly the same amount of time. And the smoker can simply transition to a VLN cigarette, a form factor they're comfortable with. And it really eliminates the need to buy a big battery operated nicotine delivery device, such as a heat not burn, manage that device, charging, and changing the form factor of their habit. The same VLN cigarettes now available in the market with VLN, with Pinnacle VLN and Smoker Friendly VLN and 22nd Century VLN products. And VLN's the only low nicotine cigarette that complies with the FDA's new proposed low nicotine standard. And here's an example. This is just a visual example of 20 cigarettes of VLN equal one traditional cigarette. So with 95% less nicotine, one pack of VLN cigarettes, which, we've been told the product tastes very, very good, equals one cigarette. So you can kind of see how that transition of moving away from dependence on nicotine happens in as little as 12 weeks. And here you see our products. Right now we have 8 SKUs in the market, 3 of them with Smoker Friendly, 2 of them with Pinnacle, and we have our 3 22nd Century VLN products that are moving into the market. So on the left are our early adopters of their own brands, of tucking in a VLN inside, if you will, concept. And on the right, we've got the 22nd Century brands. And these are starting to show up. We've started shipping the partner brands on the left, and they're in distributor, they're at the distributor, they're moving into the market for sale on September 1st with a soft launch, and then they'll go into a full launch at the beginning of October, late September, early October. So we're very excited about that. And this is an example of how we're going to market the VLN products. So on the left, you see a representation of what could be a low nicotine category in the store. So our VLN presentation on the top, Smoker Friendly VLN presentation in the middle, and Pinnacle VLN presentation on the bottom. And we're going in with a lot of customer communication. So change mats, counter mats, garbage can stick-ons, and floor mats. We'll have door stickers. there'll be a lot of communication around VLN to the consumers. And based on that, and the fact that we've been shipping and started shipping and continue to ship, we have a major strategy shift at the company. So we're going to dial back the high volume, low or no margin CMO volume. That's really been a challenge for us, and it shows up in the form of negative gross profit and negative gross margin. And so it's with the fluctuations that we get from our CMO customers, and they're not doing anything wrong or deliberate. It's just the way their business runs. This was a strategy that we employed to displace our manufacturing overhead over a larger volume of products to lower the per unit cost. Well, when the swings happen, our DLOH cost goes way up, and it ends up costing us more to make the products than our selling price. And that market's very sensitive. It's a tier 4 market, so there's not a lot of room for price increase. And so the working capital strain and the cash drain and the negative gross margins, we've decided to shift away from this business, and it's not core to our future mission, which is what we've been talking about on the prior slides. So we're shifting our focus towards the branded product portfolio, and VLN and partner VLN are going to ride along with the brands that we support. And so in the near term, that's going to cause lower revenues, but we're focused on gross profit and gross margins, positive gross profit and gross margins. And the company's going to focus on the branded business. And so when I talk about the branded business, here's our branded portfolio. So in the middle, you see our 3 VLN SKUs, 22nd Century VLN, and then Pinnacle VLN right under that, and then the Pinnacle Standard cigarettes underneath that. And then to the left, we've got Pinnacle Moist Snuff, Pinnacle Filtered Cigars, and Pinnacle Cigarillos. And over to the right, we have Smoker Friendly, their core brand at the top, which has 22 SKUs, I believe. And then Smoker Friendly Black has 8 SKUs, and that competes with Natural American Spirits at a much, much friendlier price point for the consumer. And then Smoker Friendly VLN at the bottom right. So this is a very, very nice portfolio of products for us to take into the market and continue to move our product forward. Distribution-wise, we've got our VLN and partner VLN is now, as I mentioned, in the middle of launching into 2,000 retail outlets with Smoker Friendly and another retailer that we have that's a very, very large retailer. And that is, by the way, the largest deployment of VLN in the company's history. And we've got 30 states approved. And so VLN is going to ride along with the other branded products in the same chains. And then 22nd Century VLN launch is planned with key state approvals. So once we get the approvals, we've already engaged with retailers and we know which states we're going to be going into. And that also opens up, we think, once the industry sees how this is laying out, that opens up the potential for additional partner VLN or product licensing to other tobacco brands. And so we're progressing towards a 50-state approval for all branded products, and that's Smoker Friendly, Pinnacle, and 22nd Century, and additional chain opportunities as well. When we talk about R&D, the VLN brands that you've seen, we've got 8 VLN SKUs that are currently in king size, and we're developing a 100 millimeter version, which would give us another 8 SKUs to add to our lineup. So that's already in progress, and we'll be moving that forward here pretty soon. And then other low nicotine tobacco strain development. So when it comes to nicotine and the plant varieties, that's where you get your flavor profiles. That's where you get your different blends. And so our team is working on different strains and for future VLN blends. And then continued research on TSNAs. That's a huge one for us. So as we've seen evidence of a relationship there, The more we can prove out on that, then the more we can pronounce that as part of the smoking harm reduction movement. And our partnership with NCSU has been going on for a long time, and we're working on disease resistance for the tobacco plants and a bunch of other improvements as well. And then in the future, non-combustible low nicotine product extensions and future FDA filings. Financially, here you see we're weaning ourselves away from the high volume, low margin business. We still produced a negative gross profit, but we're minimizing that negative gross profit. That was a much, much higher number in the past. And we've organized our operating expenses to be around the $2 million mark per quarter. So as we start to produce positive gross profit, that's where we're going, is to bring ourselves profitable with profitable brands. So in summary, with the VLN cigarettes, the science has been proven and the product strategy has been solidified and launched. So with the science, even as recent as the 2024 scientific study, and the strategy solidified and launched, as now we've got partner brands and they're moving into the market. Our product portfolio to cross-sell into other markets and other retailers. We've got other retailers that are very interested. That's going to give us some gradual growth through 2025. And we are the only ones who are fully aligned with the FDA's low nicotine mandate. And as I said before, 22nd Century and VLN, we actually make that mandate possible. So that's exciting for us. And then we've got the potential of a low nicotine content category that I showed you on the left side of the marketing slide, and continued development of low nicotine strains and related nicotine content products. And that includes the NNN, NNK, TSNAs as we continue to drive the low nicotine tobacco. So we're focused on growth in the branded products portfolio, including the partner VLN brands, either CMO or licensed. And our target to achieving EBITDA break even is in the first half of 2026. And our keys to success right now are scaling points of distribution and focusing on rate of sale for the branded products. And with that, Anna, I will open it up for questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Larry. Yes, so there's lots of questions for you. Let's start with Braylon. Have you gotten any, or can you get any governmental support? Talk a little bit more about that.
Governmental support with funding, or I'm trying to figure out how. I mean, the FDA
funding and just support for what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is with the independent research. We can't be directly affiliated with any of the independent research. So the best that we can do is make sure that our products are presented well in the independent research and let the results speak for themselves. And this has been a long endeavor as well. So when you look at that 2024 independent study, that happened without our knowledge, and of course independently, and I think there's a host of 20 PhDs that conducted that. But as far as government funding behind this, I think that's off the table, as we are a public company. So I think that we're kind of on our own on that one.
Okay. Janice asks, when will VLN be available everywhere in the USA?
We've got approval in 30 states. And we've got a retailer that's in largest retailers in 23 states, I believe. And we're working on other key states as they get approved. We're in discussions with other retailers. But once we get to the 50 state approval, as we've talked to other retailers that have their retail networks across the U.S., just like the retailer that we engaged with that has 1,700 outlets, what they like to see is the product and have it approved in every state so they can do a full launch. And that's kind of the way major retail works. So doing it piece by piece and one state at a time inside a big retailer, like for example, Circle K or something like that, is not their idea of a good time. So we're going to get to 50 states here pretty soon. We filed every state in April, or filed and applied to every state in April. And the states are moving their way through.
Dennis says some retailers have a cash only policy with regard to cigarettes. So do you see this as an issue at all?
I don't. It's if the consumer's buying cigarettes on a cash only basis now, that's in the 28.8 million U.S. consumers that are smoking. Buying a different brand is just going to be a matter of buying a different brand.
And Gage says, for those of us who don't know, can you explain the low nicotine mandate from the current administration you mentioned earlier, and do all of your SKUs comply?
Yes, all of our SKUs comply. In fact, we're the only one that complies. So that's pretty groundbreaking for us. So what the FDA put out in January was a huge document that it actually started in 2018 with the first Trump administration, and then it sat idle through the Biden administration, and now it was put back out in January of 2025, calling for every combustible cigarette to be below 0.7 milligrams per gram of nicotine, and so that's essentially 95% less nicotine. And so they put it out. It's got a comment period of September 15th of this year, and then they'll take the comments and they'll consolidate them and figure out what it all means. And then they, as written, they described, more than described, they called out our cigarette in the middle of the document as the enabler. And so the path to success on this would be a two-year walk-off for the tobacco industry to implement, that every brand sold in the market would have to be 95% less nicotine.
Wow. Well, wonderful. Good news.
That is good news. It's actually great news for the consumers if we can get them to move there.
Tom asks, are there any majors in the industry showing interest?
We haven't disclosed any other discussions. I would say, I'll just reiterate, I'm really proud to have the early adopters that we had embrace the product and push it forward. And so we'll see. We've got some other discussions of partner VLNs out there, but like I said, we make it possible. So just like if you think back to leaded gasoline, when it went to unleaded gasoline, if this ends up being the major C shift, we have the technology to help everybody get there.
And two financial questions. Are you raising capital through the stock currently? And is the company close to a cash flow break even?
We're going to cash flow break even in the first half of 2026. Like I mentioned, we're going to pull our revenues down and offload the high volume contract manufacturing business that's kind of eating our gross profit. And so our model shows as we go here and with the forecast that we have, that we're moving in the right direction there. And so we've got full court press, but we've got a new product that's going into the market and we've got to get ready to sell. And on the raising capital, we certainly want to support the company and have supported the company with equity issuances. So as we need capital, that would be our vehicle to do it.
Perfect. Well, do you have any closing remarks for our viewers today, Larry?
We're very excited. I think there's been a lot of twists and turns in this story over the last 20 months, and I think we finally got a line of sight, and we're excited to go make this happen.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming back on our conference and giving us this really great update. Thank you, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thanks, Anna.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone, we'll be right back.